So I know a lot of people don't love cursive, and a lot of people even think it's completely outdated and unnecessary and don't teach it in their school at all, which is fine. I'm not telling you you need to. I'm not telling you you should. I'm certainly not saying you're a bad parent if your child does not know cursive. Hello and welcome to Mile High Homeschool. My name is Megan. If you're new here, I'm a second generation homeschooler that likes to share encouragement and inspiration for you. I don't claim to be an expert on anything I share, but I hope you'll enjoy the journey with me. Today I wanted to share with you guys some of the reasons why we chose to do cursive first in our homeschool. So I mentioned in a previous video when I talked about Logic of English, our language arts curriculum, that we are actually teaching cursive instead of manuscript. So we're starting with cursive in first grade. I actually don't teach my daughter any manuscript printing at all. Everything that she picks up on her own from little like trace and write books that are used during quiet time maybe, or on road trips, or just seeing what she sees in books and copying it. I actually don't supervise any manuscript printing penmanship. All of our penmanship courses are done strictly in cursive. All of her copywork and spelling is done in cursive 100% all the way through. And that's what I'm going to do with all of my kids. And I've got some different reasons why. I know a lot of people are not fans of cursive, but I wanted to share my perspective on it just to offer another side of the story maybe. So I know a lot of people don't love cursive, and a lot of people even think it's completely outdated and unnecessary and don't teach it in their school at all, which is fine. I'm not telling you you need to. I'm not telling you you should. I'm certainly not saying you're a bad parent if your child does not know cursive. I'm not going to tell you how to homeschool your kid. They're your child. You should be making that decision. I am simply sharing with you my decisions as to why we chose cursive first. So a handful of the reasons why we chose cursive, one of the first ones was actually that it's kind of easier for kids to learn initially than print. And when I say that, I mean, if you look at how little kids write and scribble and pretend to write like a grown-up, they sit and do loops and curls and swirls and like wavy lines. They don't do straight lines, perfect circles. That's just not how they write. That's not what they scribble with. That's not what they do. So they already have that predisposition to kind of a slanty, loopy, scribbly thing. So then being like, hey, that's great. Let's just kind of shift it a little bit so it matches these lines and fits these letters is way simpler than saying it needs to be a perfectly straight line and then another line at a 90-degree angle and then this needs to be this size of a circle. Like, that's not great. And so it's really much easier for kids to learn right away than trying to make them do the straightish things with manuscript. And part of that being easier to learn is that it actually helps with their motor skill development. So they already have that pencil grip with the loopiness or that kind of stuff. And so it's easier, they're already doing those motor skills. So it's easier to transition those and to really hone them in as to try to completely change lanes with their motor skill development. And it's excellent for fine motor skill development as they get older, with holding the pencil and doing the line control and keeping the spacing and like letter spacing and everything correct, holding the speed of their writing correctly as well. So it's really good for fine motor skill development as well, more beneficial than just regular print is. Another thing that is really cool with cursive is that it actually makes the reading and spelling part of language arts a little bit easier for kids, because it helps bridge the gap between left brain, right brain. Because language arts and reading is a very left brain focused kind of study. And so because it's very much like you're puzzling out these words and the sounds and that kind of stuff. And the right brain, to help it stay involved, cursive very much activates the right side of the brain. And so when they're spelling, when they're learning to read cursive, it helps that right side of the brain activate faster. So then those words become locked in a lot easier. There's actually been some studies that show that learning cursive first can help kids if you suspect that they're dyslexic or have been diagnosed dyslexic. I'm not a medical expert. I'm just telling you the studies and research that we read when I made that decision. So it helps with that reading and spelling, especially too because cursive words are written as like one continuous line. So spelling is a lot easier because you view the words as a unit instead of a bunch of individual letters. So you're able to picture the word even in your head mentally as one continuous thing, not spread out. And then when they spell, because it needs to be one continuous thing. It even helps with their line and letter spacing as they're learning to write and to sentences and that kind of thing. So, like I said, that left-right brain learning gap is able to be bridged a lot easier with Cursive engaging both sides of the brain. Another thing that I really like about Cursive as well is that it's not like my kids have finally mastered manuscript and then starting in 3rd grade, hey, forget everything you learned about writing. We're going to teach you a totally new way to write for no reason. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people hate Cursive today as adults because they went through that struggle at 3rd, 4th grade or whatever when they learned Cursive, because they were finally mastering penmanship, they were finally getting their manuscript print to look right, they had it down, they were doing a good job, and then their teacher told them, no, we're gonna change it. Now you have to learn Cursive. Now their words need to be slanted. Now you need to do this instead. And completely unlearn what you did learn, change it, do something different. We promise it'll be faster. And it was just really frustrating for these kids. And I can understand, because I was even kind of frustrated about it when I was a kid. And so I'm not saying that this is like the perfect solution and your kids will never be frustrated with penmanship. Like my daughter even told me this fall, Mom, I really don't want to do this writing and penmanship anymore. And I was like, too bad, this is school, we're gonna finish it this day. Let's just finish this paper and you can be done. You don't have to do 5 sheets, we're just doing the one today. It's okay, she's never done 5 sheets of penmanship, but that's beside the point. So it's less frustrating for kids because they don't have to relearn how to write a couple of years into their education. They're able to just continue it as they keep going. Another thing that I found with my daughter that is so cool is that she has this sense of accomplishment and pride in her writing, which is really fun to see. She takes so much pride in it and in making it look nice and in writing like a grown-up. Like she feels like such an adult. And so I think that's a big part of her motivation for pushing through the discomfort maybe of what she doesn't like or maybe not being good at it right away, because she loves seeing her progress. She loves seeing her penmanship improve. It's fun to see her as we write. She'll write 4 or 5 letters on a page of like, hey, write, 5-letter S's or 5 Q's or that kind of thing. And so she'll write them out in cursive and they'll be like, okay, choose your favorite and tell me why that one's your favorite. And so she'll choose the one that has the best formation. And she's so excited because she can see how she's progressing and how she's getting better. And she feels like a grown-up. Like she loves it because she can sign her name the same way that Mom signs her name. It's really fun because we'll send cards to my grandparents or my husband's grandparents and she'll sign her name and they're always so impressed with how well she did. And so it's really fun for her to see that sense of accomplishment and to really take pride and ownership in that, because it motivates her to keep moving forward. And I feel like that pride in the work that you've done is a really important thing to teach kids early on, because it helps them create that sense of ownership and really build that work ethic to improve and to do better, because they can see that forward momentum. So it helps them develop that sense of like, I can grow in this, I can develop in this area, I can help make myself better in this area, which is a really cool thing for kids to learn early on, that it's not forever failing, it's not forever being bad at things because you're young. Like, no, look, you're doing this just as well as a grown-up did, So that's a really fun thing for them as well. So those are just a handful of the reasons why we chose cursive first. I really encourage you to take a look at it if you've never considered doing cursive first, or maybe you started with print with one child and you're considering it with your second one, doing something different. Take a look into it. There's a lot of really cool articles out there. A lot of studies have been done on it. It's also one of those things for me, it's cool for my daughter to be able to look at letters or postcards or memories from grandparents, great-grandparents that are in photo albums, in family memory books, and be able to read their writing. It's special for me to have her be able to read those as well, not to mention like old documents, historical documents, for them to be able to read that as well. It's cool to be able to say, hey, I can take you to Washington, D.C. and you can see the Declaration of Independence, you can see the Bill of Rights and read it for yourself. It might be in a fancy script, but you can read it. Like it's not impossible for you to decipher. I would encourage you to just do some research on your own to take a look at it. I know there's a lot of great curriculums out there that teach cursive first. Like I said, Logic of English was the language arts curriculum that we chose that teaches cursive first. I am 99% certain that Abeka also has a cursive first program that you can use. I know we have used their supplements and stuff with ours as well. The Good and the Beautiful has some good cursive first workbooks. They're not cursive first, but they have good cursive penmanship workbooks that you can use even if your child isn't doing their language art curriculum. You can get their penmanship book as just extra practice and stuff for whatever your child is working on. Yeah, there's a lot of cool ones there though. I wish there were more, but those are some of the top ones that I can think of right now. But take a look. Those are some of our reasons. Like I said, let me know down in the comments below what were some reasons that you chose to do either print or manuscript first, or is it something that you've never thought of changing before and you're curious about it? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Thanks for joining today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.